get the answer you don't want. Like, and then what do? Pray again, right? So, this week I wanted an answer, and now it was a fairly important thing to me, and it was a fairly important thing to me to get the answer that I wanted to get. And it's so cool. So these prayers of presence are amazing, at least for me, because I would pray and I would just stay there. And you get that sense of right and wrong, of left or right, of this or that. Or you get a thought, an idea, a concept, and you immediately know, yeah, this is it. It's not figment of my imagination. Some of the things are, but you immediately know when it's something coming outside of you. Long story short, 3 times this week I pray. 3 times this week, in 3 different ways, through that silence, God gives me the same answer. And I even kind of turned the prayer a little bit around, praying for something else, but it was like, it's undeniable. Like, I know, now thinking about it, like, I know. I don't think I want to take this path. I'm pretty sure I would rather do the other thing, but this is what I'm supposed to go. And I know, as I follow this, things are going to unravel in a positive direction. But that's something I did not have before in my prayer life. Before, my prayer life would be, thank you, Lord, blah, 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 no, this and this and this and this, amen. Okay, let's go. And then, hopefully, I am attentive enough throughout my day to kind of see the answer to the prayer. And very often I wasn't. Very often, like, I realized, like, whoa, okay, that thing that happened yesterday, that was actually kind of, if I'm lucky to remember what happened yesterday. This concept of being of a silent prayer of presence, can really shift, even drastically, the velocity of God's response to your prayer. Sometimes you'll get the answer. Sometimes you'll get the patience to wait for the answer, but you will always get something, whether you like it or not. That's why we started with this study. So let's take 2 minutes instead of 1. And come on. And in those 2 minutes, again, same thing. Clear out your hands. Preferably keep your eyes closed. And acknowledge your physical presence in these chairs that you're sitting in. Then acknowledge your spiritual presence as your consciousness, being in this room, being present, and then acknowledge the divine presence, the God who is right here surrounding us all. So let's take 2 minutes. I might speak through those 2 minutes, but breathe into your stomach, not your lungs, your stomach. Breathe out on your mouth. Breathe in your nose, breathe on your mouth out. Feel the chair, the edges, touching the floor. Remember, you're a part of this creation, just as this chair is, and this floor is, and this air around us. Be aware of life inside of you. Just being here. Now with your eyes closed, kind of look up and just see Jesus right there. Don't tell him anything. Just kind of look at him. Be aware of him being here with you. Dear Father, dear Creator of ours, thank you for this time. Thank you for teaching us all of these new things from your word to help us hear you better. We are easy to talk to you, but we have hard times hearing back. So may these lessons help us really deepen our ability to hear your voice. Amen. Now, last week we were talking about this. Actually, who was here last week? You guys remember what we talked about last week? Huh? Yes. So last week I just wanted to kind of explain the importance in the Bible for this concept of silent prayer, of just being present in the presence of the Lord. And we'll just take a minute real quick be present to know reality. So you have to be present to know reality. And the explanation is written in 1 Kings chapter 19. That's that story of Elijah. When Elijah is lost and confused and depressed and suicidal, and he is done with it and he can't take it anymore. And then he looks up to God and he's like, I'm the only one standing before you. And God is like, dummy, there is like 7,000 more over there amongst the people who are on my side. Don't you think that you are all by yourself or abandoned and whatnot? And then God tells him, okay, come on out of the cave. I want you to see me. You remember that story? And then the wind comes by. And the wind was so powerful it was ripping the rocks apart. That's how powerful the wind was. And then it says, but the Lord was not in the wind. Then the earthquake comes by. Then the fire comes by. And it's all flashy and loud and earth-shattering and amazing. And he says the Lord was not there. Do you guys remember where was the Lord? Huh? In a quiet whisper. Then God comes talking to him in a quiet whisper. Now, here's the thing. When you're in the middle of the earthquake, or in the middle of a fire, or in the middle of the hurricane winds, what are the chances that you're going to pay attention to somebody whispering something in your ear? That was kind of the point that God wanted to make over here. He tells Elijah, listen, if you want to hear me, you have to step outside of the mental noise that you're constantly surrounded with. Might be your personal mental noise, might be your family mental noise, might be your workspace mental noise, might be even listening to music all the time is actually a mental noise that prevents you from actually just kind of being here, you know? So if you want to hear God's voice, which is quiet whisper, you have to clear out the mental noise first. Then the second thing we were talking about is prayer of learning. So Job says that he is going to be silent before the Lord in order for him to learn what he did wrong. So he is not asking anymore. He is not expecting answers anymore. He is simply present in silence before the Lord with an intent. And his intent was, Lord, I want to learn. Teach me. Now, here's the biggest problem that we have in our society. How do you learn? When you learn things, how do you learn? One thing is trial and error, which means action and reaction, right? Oh, this was a bad reaction. Let's try another action. How else do we learn? Say it again? Okay, you have to be hands-on for some things to learn them. Yes, and sometimes you burn your hands through that process, but you have to be physically engaged in it. What else? You have to listen, right? You have to listen whatever knowledge somebody shares, and you have to repeat that knowledge. You never really learn anything unless you repeat it. Good morning. So we're in a situation where this is what we are taught in our society. The only way for you to learn and progress is if you are engaged, right? That's the first thing they tell you in school, remember? Pay attention. Yeah? And then over here, the prayer of presence is actually a concept of disengagement. It's a concept of not being necessarily rationally and consciously engaged when you listen to the silence of the Lord. Does that make sense? It shouldn't. Because we are not accustomed to this way of thinking. We are accustomed to pulling up our phone, opening up and finding the answer. Okay, this is the answer, this is how I'm going to do it. We are not accustomed to asking the Lord, Lord, help me understand this, and then just sitting in silence, waiting to see what is the Lord going to bring. But that is the path to not just to knowledge, but to your own personal spiritual freedom from everything you've learned so far. I'll explain as we kind of go through here. Okay, what today I would like us to talk about is actually be present in the reality. So, sorry. Where is it now? Be present to be in reality. Okay. So this is what we'll do. You have this like a fourth slide or something like that. Next. One more. There we go. So there's a prayer for the moment and prayer for the future that we're going to be talking about today. Now, but this is the experiment we're going to do. So everybody, I know you're nice and comfortable and everything else, but I would like to split right now into girls and guys for like a few minutes and have a short discussion. Yes. So, guys on this side, girls on that side, and so this is what I would like both of you guys to talk about. Come on, get up! Come on, we are on the schedule. Come on, we have to be out of here in an hour, a little bit more. With that hair, I can see that you might identify a little bit differently. All right, so we don't have to spend too much time. Let's say 3-4 minutes. But this is what I want you to. This is the list that I want you guys to come up with. So, top three methods you use to get your partner to agree to something or to engage in something they might not be too excited about. So, 3 minutes, 3 reasons. Too late, I already said it. Three methods. I actually went over there, not because I wanted to get this, but I wanted to get the bagel. And I had to kind of force myself, like, no. One more minute.
I mean, sometimes like if you don't do it, then all right, when you go to the park.
One second. 15. 10. 3, 2, 1. All right. Let's hear it. So, do we want to do the ladies first or the guys first?
Ladies first.
They seem so excited. Okay. So, what is the top one? The like the. Okay, let's hear all three.
So we said, what was one of them? We said,
I'll say mine.
we said bribery was one.
Like
Bribery?
with food,
Yeah.
with food or something that they want.
Okay, food, something they want. Okay.
A compromise, like if you do this, we'll do this.
Ah, okay.
That's a hint of guilt involved in there.
Oh, okay. So first is all the good stuff. Then we have the split between the good and the bad, like kind of tit for tat and the guilt trip. Okay, and what is the third one?
I said that if I, so not just saying like I want you to do this, but I will also do it with you.
Oh, okay,
So
okay,
you won't be
okay.
alone.
It's a little
So
manipulation.
it's like, oh, okay,
Manipulation.
like a false collaboration. It's like, you do this, so I'm gonna cheer. Moral support.
Sounds like everything on Mother's Day when we were kids.
You see that some things are taught well in our upbringing. All right. So, which one do you prefer to resort to do the most? Which one is the easiest one? Actually, that's probably the better question. Which one is the easiest one? Bribery?
Yeah.
All right, makes sense. All right, gentlemen, what are your top 3 methods?
Manipulate.
The what?
Manipulate.
Manipulate.
No, not too bad.
Mike.
Basically how they said it. They're like, oh, you know.
It's like I want a truck, and I'm like, well, we can go off-roading together, but it's a $70,000 truck. So,
Oh, okay, all right, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Some manipulation in a sense. You're a part of this as well, right?
but we don't need it.
I want to spend time with you. Okay, let's get a truck.
Yeah.
We'll spend more
Let's
time
go
together.
camping.
Okay, what's number 2?
Negotiate.
Negotiations.
In a sense like, hey, this is a together thing.
Okay.
Basically, she said.
That works for us.
Buying a paddle board, we can do it together. Okay, so I'm starting to see more how it got married.
Okay, let's. I know we're all friends here, but.
Negotiating is also like, like, okay, well, you could spend this much, I could spend this much too. And
Okay. So you have 70 grand at your disposal at this point.
He was like, I want a truck, but I don't pre-qualify. I want to get married. Okay, well, can you sign?
I did a co-signer.
And what's number 3?
Give her what she wants, and then hopefully she'll give you what you want.
Okay. All right. Okay. So pretty much paying in advance, kind of like that. All right.
Make her happy.
Now, which one is the easiest one? Which one works best?
Manipulate.
Manipulating.
But they're too smart for that.
I mean, yeah.
So here's the thing: if you appeal to women's wisdom, you're screwed. But if you appeal to her emotions,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
all right. Now, hey, you guys. Okay, now we're gonna discuss this all together. If you want, you can sit back to your places. You can getting something requires giving something for the other person to get so you can get. Makes sense? So that's kind of the idea. And how that actually plays out in our minds and why it works so good is because everything we do is based on one chemical in our brains. Anybody? Yes, exactly. Dopamine does the job. Now, here's the thing. The problem with dopamine is dopamine pretty much creates this sense of contentment and joy and builds motivation. That's why you're going to see dopamine in like different drugs like heroin creates enormous boost of dopamine in your body. ADHD drugs, they kind of do the same. So you kind of feel content about sitting down and not doing anything instead of like, where's the squirrel, you know? So, but everything revolves around chemical balance in our bodies. And what we learned as a species through our sophisticated lifestyles is how to trigger dopamine in another person in order for that person to engage in whatever we want to get engaged with, so we would get dopaminized as well. Now, the problem with that is that you can't control your dopamine. Who controls dopamine? Huh? What did you say? What did you say?
Why did I hit it?
Nobody paid it. Either you guys didn't pay attention. Maybe you did. How did Sean react when I threw this paper napkin at him? Did you even see it? Uh-huh. He didn't flinch at all. Yeah. And how did Laura react? Maybe not like that, but kind of, but that way. Now, how much time did it take you to think to react?
Immediately.
You thought of it. You saw like my hand.
Freaking bringing it up.
Because it's like a split of a second. So you make decisions in a split of a second.
I also feel like you put on a lot of things that us, so we just could
Now, how many times baseballs fly into your face? You have no idea. And you got hit by many, so pretty much whatever I throw at you, it's not really, I couldn't care less. Now, this is how subconscious mind works. And that is the part of your mind that actually controls the output of dopamine. You are very comfortable with baseballs in your face. Ideas. Write it down. Like so, your subconscious is like, something is flying to my face. It's out to Milos's hand. It's flying slow. It's that's fine. I don't even. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like yeah, you. Your subconscious is like, I don't even need to bother Sean with this. Yeah, it's fine. And Laura is, he's throwing something, you know? Tell her to move. Tell her to move. But essentially, that's how things actually work in like 99% of literally everything we do while we are awake. The information is processed through your senses, your 5 senses, basic 5 senses. There is more, but let's just focus on basic 5 senses. Through the nerves, they're sent to your spinal cord. Through the spinal cord, they're sent to your brain. Before they get to a frontal cortex, which is the conscious part of your brain that processes information, it goes through your reptilian brain, and the information is first processed in your subconsciousness before it's passed on to your conscious brain for reaction. And the perfect example is I did the same action caused 2 completely different responses because your reptilian brain is accustomed to something flying in your face and you're fine with it, you know, but yours is not. So for you, it's like meh, and for you, it's like danger, you know, and that's why you reacted differently. Now, why is this so important? Yes?
Well, what's kept on doing it and doing it. And I'm like, man, this is boring. I'm not even scared anymore. But then to think about it now, like if I was to go back, I'd be terrified again.
Yeah.
So it's like
going cliff jumping. Every time we go cliff jumping.
Yeah.
It
You
takes
jump, you know it's not that bad, and then
Yeah.
you're again at the edge of that cliff, and you feel your legs kind of cutting off. Yeah.
yeah.
But it's
So
all,
I just don't get like, you know.
So here's the thing. How subconsciousness works. Subconsciousness is, God built it into us in order to protect us because we were way too stupid to do that on our own. Actually, maybe not necessarily stupid, but definitely too slow to do it on our own. The experiment, a really cool experiment was done. Let me see, I wrote down because I never tell you, and you guys ask me, and then I don't know. A German institute, where is it now? Give me a second. I have to find it and read it, or I'm going to hate myself. Okay, Bernstein Center for Neuroscience in Germany. So they were doing the studies, and they were trying to determine not the speed of reaction of a conscious brain, but rather the subconscious brain. So what they would do, they would present, they made like the whole contraption. I think I shared a little bit about that, but they made a whole contraption of people thinking that they're talking to a psychic who can read their minds. But their brain waves were actually scanned through the process. So what they were doing, they would offer people like 4 choices. 9 out of 10 times the computer algorithm guessed exactly what people are going to choose out of those 4 choices. And that was based on reading the neural activity of the subconscious brain. And they say on an average, every single activity you make a choice on through your day, every single one is made in 0.2 seconds or less. So, you know when you're trying to pick what clothes to wear, your subconscious already made that decision. And it made that decision depending on the circumstances and previous experiences. So, your previous experience in life did not involve baseball flying towards you as much as it's his. So, your subconscious was like, you know, you get engaged in this roller coaster ride again and again and again and again, and your subconscious becomes very comfortable with it because nothing happened the first time, the second, the third time. Yeah, we're cool, fine, that's fine. But as soon as you reset and go back to your regular daily, your subconsciousness, if it doesn't experience something on a regular basis, it doesn't develop this resilience towards certain situations. No, let's just stick to kind of roller coasters. So there are 2 ways, and we're going to talk about that later. There are 2 ways you can impact your subconsciousness. One is raw action, which is sitting in a roller coaster every single day and doing 5 rides. A month later, you'll go on a roller coaster, you'll find you couldn't care less because your subconsciousness it's engraved. But the other way that you can influence your subconsciousness is by visualization. So you can literally imagine being on a roller coaster. And have you ever, I mean, the best example is watching a scary movie. You watch a scary movie, and even though your consciousness is perfectly aware, it's just a freaking movie, they're just actors, that is not blood, it's just cherry juice or whatever, your body does not react that way. You know, your body responds as if it were a part of the reality presented on a TV screen. Now, your mind is much more powerful than any filmmaker. Your ability to visualize goes way beyond what you can see on, because when you watch a movie, you're engaged visually and audially. That's pretty much it. There is no smell, there is no touch, there is no taste. If I asked you, what is your favorite ice cream taste? Can you taste it right now? Can you remember the taste right now? See, a movie can never do that. What is your favorite perfume? You don't smell it physically, but you can remember it, like, yeah. So, the ability to visualize that we are given is your ability to impact your subconsciousness and reframe the conscious reality you're a part of. Here's another example. You guys watched the NBA. So, actually, how many of you actually watched at least the playoffs? Okay, you watched the Nuggets. Oh, you watched the Mavericks. Okay, everybody watched the Mavericks. So, you look at Kyrie. He has a terrible game. You see that every single time. Like, he's about to shoot, he stops, he looks, he's whatever. And then the next game is just amazing. But when you compare the way he plays, you can see when he is in the zone and he is not in the zone. When he is in the zone, he doesn't even look. It's crazy. He's like right there, tossing the shot, and you can see that he didn't even look. He didn't even think. He just did it. When athletes are in the zone or in the flow, they achieve substantially better results than when their coach tells them, okay, first think about it, how are you going to do this? Right now, they have, most of trainings involve them, like the pre-training session is being barefoot on the grass and visualizing yourself breaking your own record. Or doing this, or doing, like you see yourself doing it. And then, what they would do, they would have like the earbuds, and they would play a music, and they tell them, okay, while you do whatever you're doing, just listen to the music. Don't think about what you're doing, just listen to the music. And they perform amazingly. Why? Because they disengaged the conscious, and they're allowing their subconscious to guide them as they're doing this. And very often they're breaking their own records, and they show themselves like, I had no idea I was even able to do that. You hear athletes, especially in the Olympics. Now the Olympics are coming in Paris. You're going to see that a lot. If you just pay attention before the race or before whatever is happening, how do they act? What do they do? A lot of them are, instead of like practicing this or that, a lot of them will just be like that, or like there. Because it's becoming more and more common for them to realize if I want better results, I have to envision them first. Now, what does that have to do with anything that we're going to be talking about over here? So, let's go to the next slide. Find Psalm 46, please. We're going to have it on the screen, but I would like you to find it in your own Bible. Somebody please read it. Thank you very much. Now, David over here, he quotes God. So these are the words of God, not David's words. And God's instruction over here is be still and know that I'm God. That's why I told you when you were in that prayer of presence, be aware of yourself. Be fully aware of your presence, where you are right now physically, spiritually, and then acknowledge. Now, what does it mean to know something? When you know something, it's a fact. Do you know what are you going to have for lunch? How do you know? Huh? What if plans fail? Why? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go back to. Go ahead. So the lunch is not a known fact. Did you have a? Okay, so those are two different things, and that's why I asked specifically, what are you going to have for lunch today? Because here's the thing, you have plans, and you're fairly certain that this is how the plans are going to pan out, and this is what you're planning to have for lunch. But you really don't know what are you going to have for lunch until lunch happens. You're hoping that you're going to eat. You still don't know that you're going to eat until the time for eating comes, right? What if, like, same thing what Laura said, as morbid as it is, you know, like your truck flips over and you choke on your beard and kind of like you never get to the chance to actually eat or something, whatever, you know. So, but the idea is this. Okay, tell me some known fact that you know 100% for sure right now. Okay, that's if you believe in God. If you don't believe in God, that means nothing. Well, okay, for people who don't believe, they're going to say, well, that's just figment of your imagination. Give me a fact that all of us can agree on. That's a good fact, yes. At least physically. Some of us are dying emotionally. Yeah. It's like I saw that, like, it's like I finally have some time to play video games. I'm going to go wake up my inner child. And he pulls the blankets, and there's a skeleton of a little child over there. So, things that we know for sure, like, for example, the sun is up. All of us are breathing fresh air, and so on. Like, all of these things are like the known facts, but they are known because we are in the moment as they are happening. Right? Everything else, even whatever happens in next minute, is an unknown. We have a very educated guess, and probably very, very, very correct one, what is going to happen, but still, there are no guarantees it will. We know that in 5 minutes the sun is still going to be up, unless some major explosion happens and there goes the sun. We know that, again, you see, we know that that's not going to happen. We don't know. But most likely, like, the chances are next to zero, the sun like that's going to happen. The whole point is, the only thing you really know is something that you're immersed in the moment, right now. Now, excuse me? Oh, yeah, you missed all of our examples. Yeah, the example, the sun is up, we are breathing, everybody is alive, at least physically. Now, David Overhill here says still and know the time. Be still and know the time God. Now, Laura brought that up a little bit. The only reason I challenged that concept of knowing that God exists is because I wanted to, argue something that generally everybody is going to agree on. But now let's talk about this. So, God says, and this is like just like a simple rule of spiritual engagement, how things work. So, for example, if I eat today, I'm not going to be hungry. Or if I wear comfortable shoes, I'm not going to, I can walk all day long. Or like some common things that this is simply the rule. That's simply how things work. Or if I climb on this stage and I jump, I'm not going to float. I'm going to fall down. So this is one of those rules. God says, you be still, and then you'll know the time God. Now, what does it mean to know? How do you understand this? Know the time God. How do you understand this statement? What does it mean to know that He is God? So say again.
That through Him all things are possible.
Okay, that goes a little bit into a more complex. That is more a relationship between you and God. But yeah, that all things through God are possible. Yeah, that is true. But that's not really what the statement says over here. It says that you know the time God. Have you heard that?
I think also the reason He says be still is because when you're being still, you're more understanding of what's around you.
No, that's the second thing that we're going to discuss. But okay, Okay, now you really touched into it. True. The idea of stillness represents being present and aware of where you are, who you are, and who you're with. But David emphasizes over here that this prayer for the moment is so when you know something, do you need to learn it again? Something that you know. You experienced it, you lived it, you've been there, you saw it happening. Yeah, that's fine, I don't have to. Like you experienced roller coaster. Yeah, it might be terrifying next time, but you know how it's going to look like. There are no surprises there, most likely. But the idea is, when you know something, the learning at that point is redundant. You don't need to reread this again. You simply know, and when you know something and acknowledge something, that becomes part of your reality.
I think of like my family and how well I know them, or my son, how well I know them. There's like been so many, like the way that I know them is through, like I use a lot of my senses to fully know. So it's like I know how Victor smells. I know how Jenny, how when she's feeling a certain way, how she acts. I know Rafa loves it. It's like all these experiences that built up the knowing. But it wasn't just like, oh, I know that because I heard it. It was like, I heard it, but I saw it, I experienced it, I felt it, I smelled it, I very intimately know. So it's like you said, it's almost even kind of subconscious because I've been around it for so long.
And you see, but all of those things required presence. In presence, mutual presence, let's put it that way. Right now, Rafa is with his dad, but you know that he's fine. You still, like, he didn't disappear. He's still there, because you had a lot of these moments of complete and full presence with them.
To approach it, the mechanics behind it, and the tactic you use. Because she may know Jenny's facial expressions on how she feels, but it's not always going to be the same approach or mechanics behind it. But it takes way less time than it would if she wasn't aware of that facial expression or
when you get so close to a person that you already know what they're going to say before they even open their mouth.
Yeah.
Or do you ever have this experience, like a moment of anticipation, and you know that something is coming from them, and in that moment it comes? It's not even, or have you ever had this, like you're doing whatever you're doing, and they cross your mind, and 3 seconds later your phone rings, or you get a message. Now, all of these experiences indicate our ability to be present in somebody else's lives, no matter the proximity. And the connectedness between all of us is not determined by the distance, but the amount of presentness between us. And once you're deeply, intimately present with somebody, you start having these weird experiences that kind of defy logic and common sense, where you read their mind, or you kind of anticipate them reaching out or whatever, or how many times, you call, and I just thought, I just crossed my mind, you're gonna, But these things tell us something. What David is trying to say over here. You can have the same amount of intimacy with God. Not that you should have, and it's available to you. God says, be still, then you'll know that I'm God. But you have to be still in His presence. It's not enough to say what's on your mind and walk away. It's not enough to just read the Bible, okay, let's see how does that make sense, and then walk away. You have to be still in His presence. This is the element that makes no sense in a modern society that we live in. And this is the element that is often being dismissed. Bless you. This is the element that is often being dismissed in our churches, even though you find it in the Bible, because it makes no sense. But then, the same thing with like the acupuncture. It makes no sense, but it works. So a whole lot of medical institutions include acupuncture. Even and if you asked them, like, why do you do it? Well, we don't really know, but it works. Literally everything. Like you ask the acupuncturist, he's going to explain you about the meridians, about the energy highways, about the dense energy, the clogged energy, and how these how actually these needles invigorate not your blood flow, not your physical body, but your energetic body, and then your energetic body gets your physical body to feel better, and then a doctor is standing over there, and he's like, that's such a bunch of nonsense. Well, okay, then you tell me, how does this work? Well, I have no idea, but it works.
You know, it's really crazy. No one knows, scientifically and in the health world, no one knows why there's such a thing as knots. They can't describe
what?
As knots.
Oh, like the muscle knots?
Muscle knots. No one knows what it is. No one can definitely say what makes a knot.
One cool, I remember this from like 20 years ago, a cool experiment that was done, again, it was in Europe because it was, anyways, what they did is they pretty much had like chronic, people with chronic stiffness, knots, bad back, and so on, and then what they would do, they would put them in a state of complete anesthesia, like total anesthesia. And every single muscle is completely relaxed. Like all of the knots are gone, all of the tension, everything is just gone, 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 gone. So physically, you're a perfect human being, physically. The moment, and then, you know, you start waking up, the moment your consciousness kicks in, boop, 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 everything just pops back in. Literally, your mind reshapes your physical body to whatever state it remembers it was in. That's kind of crazy thing. That's why they say, like, there's a lot of, like, if you have, and I got to figure out what's in my left shoulder, but that's the thing, like, if you have, bless you, if you have a consistent pain somewhere and you did everything you could to kind of physically relieve it, stretching, decompressing, this and that, and the pain is still there, most likely you're holding an emotion in it. And most likely once you realize what that emotion is, it will just dissipate. It will be just gone once you release that emotion. It's crazy. Like how God wired us, it's amazing. It's beautiful. But the whole point, why am I talking about these things? Because I really want you to take seriously the importance of being present in the moment and knowing that He is God. Every one of us has the same amount of moments in our day, in our life. We just decide to fill our moments with different things. And that's what life is. What is life? Life is just a bunch of experiences that we mostly have repetitively lined up throughout the day. You already know how's your day going to look like tomorrow, most likely, right? You already know throughout the week how's your day going to look like because you align it up so kind of, it streamlines. It's easier. But that's not your life. That is just the way you experience your presence. If you opt to take more time throughout your day to be disengaged, to stop and not think, and the concept of stillness is not being brain dead, being thoughtless. The concept of stillness is just not putting your attention on thought. Like thoughts are still there. Like, you know, when you kind of, you know when you get lost in your thoughts. Like you're driving, you get lost, you remember when you were 13 and this happened, or you're getting ready for this birthday party for next week, whatever you lost, and then you're kind of back, oh yeah, I'm going to work, I gotta do this and that, you know? Your focus was not on your present thoughts, but some other thoughts. The idea of stillness is completely putting attention off your thoughts. Just putting attention on you being. Just be still. And put attention on God's presence. And listen, be curious, like where it takes you. If you see that it's taking you to a movie that you watched last night, just let it, like clouds, let it pass by and go back to being present. And then ask. Actually, we're going to talk about that next week. We're going to talk about the detailed thing of asking and so on. But there is, that's so cool. Somebody actually counted it. So, do not fear is repeated 366 times in the Bible. Yeah, literally. It says like there is one, do not fear. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess, that's kind of the cool thing. Yeah, including the leap year. Like there is do not fear, different do not fear for every single day of your life, in the Bible. But here's the thing. The only time you're really detached, bless you, the only time that you're really detached from fear is when you're present in this moment. Because think about this. 99% of our fears are related either to our past or to our future, right? Right now, do you have a reason to be afraid of anything? It's nice, comfortable, everybody is fed. You're in a safe, quiet, nice environment. Nevertheless, if I ask you about your fears, you're gonna straight out spit at least two fears that are kind of in the back of your mind about this or that, or what about this or what about that, and so on. That's the problems that we don't share with the rest of creation. I think I'll mention it again real quick. You remember I was telling you about that documentary, like why zebras don't have heart attacks. I think, or it's something like that. Huh? could be, but no. But the idea is so zebras. They observed them. They actually put like the EKGs and EEGs on them and so on and observed them. And they were like, the moment a predator would attack them, everything bursts into action. Like the adrenaline kicks in, the cortisol kicks in, everything, like they just run for their lives. But the moment they ran away and the moment they cannot perceive any predators around, they completely go back to the state of tranquility. Like completely they're focused on grass, on water, on their herd and so on. Until predator shows up again. The problem with us is that we constantly have imaginary predators in our heads. Some are real, some are made up, but if we talk about this present moment, no matter how real the predator is, they're not here right now. They're not endangering you right now. You're not in danger, but the moment you start thinking about that, your heart starts pounding. Because your body responds to the moment you choose to be present in. Does that make sense? So right now, the concept of be still and know that I am God is the idea, and this is the beauty of it, this is the amazingness of it, is the idea that this stillness should be encompassing for all other thoughts that you're entertaining throughout your day. So yeah, I have a really busy schedule, I have a really tough person to deal with, I have this medical situation to figure out what to do, but the encompassing thought is in every moment, I'm here and you're right here with me. Once you learn to engage more in the stillness of presence, I'm telling you guys, this is my personal experience. God becomes so much more present. It's just like he's there, and it brings me so much peace. I'm going through tough times. I had like a few weeks ago when I had to go through Serbia. I had to go through some really nerve-wracking things, emotionally, mentally, and bureaucratically, and a whole bunch of stuff. But there was constantly this like, and I kept, like my mom, she was really like, how are we going to do this? How's that? You know, like, and I remember myself, like I was constantly like, everything's going to be fine. We'll be fine. You know, everything's going to be okay. And everything in the end, it really was okay. There were so many things that could go wrong, and nothing went wrong. I really, kid you not, like I really believe that the more you spend time in the stillness knowing that He is God, less things go wrong. And you start really living in a life where just good things start coming to you. Literally, good things start coming to you. And even something that you might for a moment label as bad, you realize, oh, it's a good thing that this happened.
And so at the moment, it seemed awesome. But when she went to the dentist, they did a scan on her mouth and they found a mass that was going into her sinuses.
Oh my
Without the x-ray, she would have never seen that. So now, not only is she getting her tooth fixed, but she's also getting that situated, and she's healthy and happy because of it. Oh my gosh.
So no, but there are numerous situations. It's all matter of perception and perspective. But when an encompassing idea of perspective is that whatever is happening around me, I'm here still, and I know that you're God. Like, what can go wrong? Absolutely nothing. Like Paul says, that was like Romans 2. He's like, what are we going to say? If God is with us, who can go against us? But that becomes reality only after you experientially engage in this stillness. Until then, it's just going to be a cool story that Miloš told you that works for somebody else. So I really challenge you. Create the time. I have, like the Apple Watch, I have every hour, I have a reminder. And I would stop for 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Every hour is enough for me to keep me in this state of presence. And an amazing thing that happens is like those 2 minutes pour into this hour that is coming. And it's constantly in the back of my mind. And I feel better. I feel healthier in every single way. Physically, mentally, emotionally. I feel amazing ever since I started doing that. And that's something that belongs to you guys. You just need to claim it. Okay, we have another very short period of time. Let's go to prayer for the future. Now, this one is a little bit different. Psalm 62:5. For God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from Him. So, it's interesting how David, this is not the only time, he does this quite a bit. David talks to himself. He actually talks to his soul. And this is so very interesting. He doesn't talk to his King David. He doesn't talk to his... he talks to his soul. And I really see this, like when Bible says that God created us from elements of this earth and breathed in the divine breath of life in us, and I became a living soul. That is the consciousness. That is the consciousness of your existence. And David over here talks to his consciousness, to him, completely bare, completely nothing else but just him. And he says, wait in silence for God alone, for my hope is from Him. What is a hope? Let's a little bit talk about this. What is a hope? What do you guys hope for in this coming week? I hope to lose another 2 pounds. Because I unpacked my last summer clothes and I found some really cool shirts and I can't fit in them. So I'm really hoping to lose a couple of pounds so next week I can wear them. What do you guys hope for?
An uncertainty type, like, not expectation.
It is an expectation. Yeah. It is like an uncertainty we're talking about. Yeah.
Hope I see as a positive expectation and being in a positive state, and
opposite from hope is dread. When you're also in the state of anticipation, of uncertainty, but you have the negative aspect of it. And that's what dread kills you more than the actual event you're dreading from. It's very often like that. Now, over here, the prayer for the future. The idea is, so as I asked you, what are you going to guys have for lunch? You have a really good plan, but you don't know if it's... Now, the idea over here, the David spills, is, for God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from him. You heard that expression probably. Why would you fret about tomorrow? God is already there. So, he's kind of waiting for you. David has over here this idea of waiting in silence. Now, this is more than just being present in silence. When you wait, you're actively engaged in something that you really can't speed up. You can't wait faster, right? It's like I'm waiting for a bus. Come on, hurry up. Okay, I'm going to wait faster. Yeah. When you wait for something, the outcome is not up to you, right? The only thing that is up to you is to wait. And over here, David doesn't say wait in patience or wait in silence. No matter how much we really want to live in the moment, that's never going to happen completely. Because we are still constrained with the dimensions of the world we live in. And one of those dimensions is the never-ending river of passing time. So, no matter how much we stay present, we will always look forward to the future, right? Think about it, you know? Because everything you do today, you do it for the sake of a better future, right? You got up early this morning, you came here today to connect to God. Why? In hopes that this connection is going to help you make better decisions, it's going to make your life better, life of your kids, life of your whatever, you know? In the end, yes, you live in the moment, but you live also for what is coming your way. And David is perfectly aware of that. So his idea is this. Everything that you expect in your life, it's automatically a hope. Two ways. Do you mind if I share what happened to your dad? So, Laura's dad had a heart attack last week, and Patricia's. Did you just say yay? Oh, okay. It sounded like yay. So it was like, that was like, okay, good. All right. Now, there are two ways that you can go through that. You can approach the situation as you're driving to the hospital with hope that he's going to be okay, or with dread that he's going to die. And I'm sure that pretty intimately right now you can feel both. And I'm sure that all you guys can relate, thinking about being in a situation like that. Every single situation in the future, whatever awaits you this afternoon, this week, this year, the choice is yours. How are you going to engage with? You can be in silence before the Lord and embrace the hope that he's got it. Or you can be in dread, hoping that this world is not going to cause the worst possible outcome. But David's idea here is, whatever is on your mind for your future, it's automatically a hope. It's automatically a positive expectation. Why? Because I'm waiting for God. God is already over there. And this is something that is happening in your subconsciousness. To kind of circle back to the beginning and everything we talked about. That is something that circles back to the dopamine pumping in your brain. If you developed a habit of dreading, of negative expectations, if you developed a habit of expecting the worst, those things are not going to be happening to you just because the circumstances around you But because your subconsciousness are going to start developing scenarios and put you in them for those things to happen, assuming that this is the best path for you to stay safe. You can't consciously shift your dopamine levels, but you can consciously shift how you look at the world around you. And then your subconsciousness responds. David over here might be in a life-threatening situation. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to live, but my hope is in God. Hey, you saved me so many times. I'm pretty certain everything's going to be just fine. But that's the choice that you make. If you have hard times, sit down and visualize the positive outcomes. Think of one thing that you need resolved this week. Think of one thing that you really need. You really want it resolved in a positive manner this week. Whatever it is. After we finish and close with our prayer, I'll leave the timer on for another minute. And I challenge you, visualize you and Jesus being present in that moment in the future with the best possible outcome that you could desire. Why not? Allow yourself to hope, because the one that wants to make your dreams come true is already over there waiting for you. The stillness of your mind is going to bring you closer to God. But you have to fight it. Your brain is not going to give up so easily. Your brain is going to eat you alive. You'll have to fight it. First time I started this exercise, I could barely last like 5 seconds. Literally. But I kept doing it because I really needed it desperately. To the point where right now, I seriously, I have 45 minutes every day. 3 times a day, I have my 15 minutes. And then I have my 2 minutes every hour. And it's amazing. It's amazing how many things are opening up in my life. You can have the same hope, not just for today, not just for this week, for literally all of your life, whatever is ahead of you. All right, any questions or anything to add? Next week we're going to talk about silence, active silence. But actually next week we're going to be in Nevada. So maybe I save this actually for 2 weeks from now. All right, what time is it? Okay, just about right. Who would like to pray? Who would like to close with a prayer? And then after that prayer, let's stay silent for another minute into your visualization, into your reminiscence of future time that God is going to bring to you in the best possible outcome. Laura, you please pray. As soon as you say amen, I'm going to start the timer.
Thank you for today. I'm so grateful to be among people who love you. I'm so grateful for your power and for seeing us through day to day. Nothing is promised to us except for you. I just thought we would all be able to grow closer to you so we can see you and understand you through the times that make us fear the worst. So that you may comfort us through the times that really bring us down. I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you so much that you still gave me a heart of flesh still. And not a heart of stone. I pray that for all of
very much for being a part of this. I appreciate it. Guys, I learned so much from you. I have no idea. How does this make sense? This is the first time we actually kind of elaborate on this concept. How does it make sense?
I think for me, it makes sense it makes sense in the sense that it's just like making more of an effort to be present every single day. And what I mean by present is like if I'm gonna pray or if I'm gonna spend time reading my Bible, or let's say I'm in the car or whatever, that I'm actively disengaging from all of the distractions, the worries, the thoughts, the planning, all of that, just to spend time and connect with God, like really being present. Because I think I know, like for example, yesterday I was helping my friend Viviana move, and you know her mind was all over the place because she's overwhelmed, they're moving, and she couldn't find her phone. And then as I was driving home, I was almost getting home, her phone's like dinging in my car. And it was in some side random pocket. How did it get there? She at some point put it there and she did not remember why, because her mind was distracted by everything around her. So I think for me it's like, oh, you know, the same thing happens to me in so many areas of my life where it's like, oh, I have to really learn to be present so that I can connect and live in the moment and learn the lessons that I'm supposed to be learning instead of just going through life running all over here.
Yeah. And you know what's a really cool experience that I've had in the past year is this also. You know, sometimes they say like the older you get, the more time goes by faster.
Yeah.
And that's not true. Actually, the reason why is that happening is because when we were younger, we were more focused on the moment we were engaged in.
Yeah.
The older we are, more we are engaged in things but present somewhere else. And then we never really created the actual lasting connection with that moment that has passed. And one thing that I've seen, like, I'm talking to, like, Jasmine and I were talking about these things, and I'm like, you remember, like last year when we, this, that, and he's like, that was in March. And for me, time slowed down, I kid you not. Like, literally, time slowed down. And I really feel like so much time has passed since last July now. But it's all because I really give it credit to, because that's the only really significant change that I added to my personal life. It's because I engage in this being in presentness. I really actively, daily engage. And I'm like what happened last week? Like, geez, so many things happened. But I remember so many of them. You know, for a change, I actually remember what happened last week. Before you ask me what happened last week, I don't know. You remember one significant thing that maybe has happened, you know? So that's where your life also evolves in a very positive manner. Where you, like every single moment, oh, it's cherished, it's beautiful. It's like a year has passed and you have a sense like the 5 have actually passed. It's crazy. So that's another reason why it's so worth it doing this, guys. Seriously. Put this, just, even if you don't kind of have too much hope that this is going to work, at least give it a try. You know? It's so worth it. Seriously, so worth it.
Strike it up.